Yo, what's up, you guys? Today we're talking about the Apple Event 2021 Spring Update. Comes with a slew of new products, but I want to give you my top 3 for things that you might actually want. Some of the products, meh. Some of the features, meh. But these 3 I think might actually be worth it. So run the intro and let's get into it. Okay, so I've got my iPad because basically I watched it and then I went through like a note-taking event along with it. So that way I had like some talking points, but also just my thoughts. So I'll give you my list and give you some of my thoughts. So number 1 on the list definitely has to be, or really number 3. So we're going to start at the bottom and go up. So number 3 deals with AirTags. I'll tell you why. So the reason why I put Apple AirTags in my top 3 in the 3rd position is because this is a product that I think anybody that loses anything, virtually anything at least, could be like, it could benefit them. And that's because you're able to essentially take a little object that looks like this and then put that on whatever you want to. So it could be luggage, it could be your keys, it could be another bag of some sort, it could be anything that you're going to possibly lose that you want to be able to find. So AirTags are essentially just a little dongle that have like this feature that you can use with Find My. If you've ever used Find My to find my iPhone or find my iPad or any of those things, you already know basically what this does. But essentially this gives you the ability to take that from Apple specific devices to third-party anythings, which is amazing. But some of the things that I wrote down when I was watching this was the fact that I really liked, first of all, their little intro, the guy diving into the couch. If you didn't see that, go check out that piece alone because it's like a little movie and it's kind of hilarious. It's like cave diving in your couch. But beyond that was actually the inner workings of the AirTag. So you would think that this is pretty simple or whatever. It's just like a chip located in a device that can connect with your phone or whatever to find things. But something they actually mentioned that I thought was really interesting was it uses accelerometer, the camera, and the gyroscope along with the user interface to actually give you location. So one of the things that I noticed, I'll show you a screenshot because they were holding the phone essentially and it had like an arrow which would almost look like a compass to your location or from your location to the AirTag itself. So this was something that I thought was really, really nice with the user interface. So it's essentially like directing you to the AirTag, to your lost item, versus just like in previous versions of Find My where it would have like a map overlay and it have a point. So in a way that's kind of helpful, especially if it's long distances. But if you're talking about something you've lost in your house, it'd be nice to have that feature where you're just like, which way is it or whatever. So I thought that alone would make me want it. And just in like the 2 days since the event, we've seen all sorts of different companies come out with an entire slew of things to put them in. So different companies have made holders for these things. I'm going to leave an article down below which actually talks about some of these. And if you're thinking about these, check these out because some of them look really good. So in my number 2 spot, I'm actually giving you the iMac. And that is because of just how incredibly they've revamped the machine based on the internals. So usually I think that we sell Apple devices basically on the outside, and they do have the new colors, which is really cool. So if you haven't seen those, here's just a picture of those. But beyond that, we have so much more. So yes, this is a nod, I think, in my opinion, to the older school iMacs, where you got those cool bubbly 2000s colors where they were the bubble Macs and all that. So you get the new colors, which is really cool. But beyond that, the internals have affected the outside by consolidation. So that's something they went into a lot because the M1 chip has given them the ability to actually consolidate some of the internals, which allows them to make a smaller footprint for the entire machine, which is really cool. So one of the things they mentioned, I'm just going to read a quick note, was that they mentioned the CPU and the GPU had been separate before, but because of the input of the M1 chip, now we have a smaller footprint of basically the logic board. So all of those things can be condensed down to save space and stuff like that, which I find kind of interesting as well, because when you're talking about extreme computing power, you think of heat, and you would think of more like you're going to need more airflow, or you're going to need a bigger heat sink or something like that, right? Especially when you're talking about PCs and bigger PCs. But something they actually mentioned that I thought was really interesting with this is the fact that they also condensed down the actual airflow, like the ability for them to reduce heat inside the machine. They mentioned that instead of having this giant predecessor's version of what they have now, they went down to 2 fans purely just for like the need, right? So essentially you don't need a bigger version of their heatsink, or you don't need multiple fans or anything like that. Huge fans. They have 2 fans in the entire machine, and they mentioned that it reduces noise, which is really good because we know that when we crank up that machine, it always sounds like an airplane going off, like just but so beyond that, we can tell that that M1 chip has increased just not only computing capability, which is like by itself an amazing like feat, but beyond that, we also see that it's able to reduce other like things that aren't necessary. So like the GPU CPU consolidation or the airflow consolidation, all of those things really play into it, and that's why I put it at my number 2 spot. And as a caveat, I just have to mention this as well, that the 4.5K Retina display is incredibly beautiful. It's something that I wouldn't highlight as my main points for the Mac, because Mac has had a predominantly very good screen for a long time now. It's just put on a better machine. So I love the fact that it's 4K, that has the true tone, so it changes depending on your room or whatever. I think that's amazing. Some of the other things were the 24-inch display, 11.3 million pixels. All of those things are great, but we know that the display is going to be beautiful if it's in a Mac. So beyond all of the things I said before, you can add this as another reason to why it's in my number 2 spot. But let's get to number 1. And my number 1 spot has to go to the new iPad Pros, the 2021 models, because they look amazing. You get 2 models, the 11 and the 12.9, which we're used to, $799 and $1099 respectively. And some people would say $1099 for what you consider a mobile device is kind of expensive, but for what you're getting inside those iPads, let me tell you this story. So I got rid of my laptop last year, and I have used the iPad 2018 version, the Pro model, with the Apple Pencil solely, and I've had no problems. I think that iPads themselves are very close to being laptop killers completely. And the reason I say this is because this is already a faster model. You put that M1 chip with it, with the XDR Retina display, it's going to look amazing, and it's going to work seamlessly. You put that with the fact that you can actually use it as a secondary monitor to one you already have, being able to do all of the apps, the creating that you like doing, being able to use it with all of your Adobe suite and your Premiere and your Final Cut and Lightroom and all of these other things really are going to make it what it can be. So that's why it has to be my number 1 spot. It just, I think, is going to be an amazing product, and they start shipping all of these things in May, so you got to check them out. And with that, I give you my top 3 Apple Event 2021 event products that I think you'll actually use that will actually help you out. So they talked about other things. We can give like an honorable mentions to the Apple TV. You're also, if you want, you can get into the Magic Keyboard and the Magic Mouse, which will now have Touch ID if they didn't before. All of those things I think make great secondary items. They're things in between. I don't want to call them fillers because they're great technology as well. But beyond that, I think these 3 things will make or break your flow now. I think if you have them, you will love them, and if you don't, you'll want them. As far as the AirTags, I think you won't lose as many things. The iMacs, I think your productivity will go up. You'll have less time rendering. You'll have less time trying to get between things. I think that the M1 chip in those Macs will look amazing. I think the colors are cool. I like the nod to the old school ones. I really don't care necessarily. Honestly, if I was going to get any of them, I'd probably just get the standard white one. And the iPads, like I said, could be a laptop killer. I think, and this is my caveat to the iPad, I think what they should do, Apple, if you're listening, make sure that you make an iOS for like a flagship OS for the Mac, or for the iPad, just for the iPad. Make it a flagship standalone. Make it like a Surface tablet, something like that. Use Mac OS, make a version, and put it into the iPad, and that will be an iPad killer, because even though it's getting a storage bump, 2 terabytes on board, which is amazing, and that's a part of the price that you're probably going to have to like come to terms with. But honestly, you could get the lowest version as far as memory goes, as far as storage goes, and you could get external drives for way cheaper. And the fact that they're using the Files app now as an actual way to transport files between devices, I think honestly it's this close to making it a laptop killer. Let me know in the comments if you agree. And with that, I'm going to conclude and peace out. I'll see you in the next one. Let me know your thoughts on all of these things. Let me know, hit that thumbs up right there. Let me know that you liked all this content. Let me know what you thought from the event. Did you like what they had? Do you have other things that were really highlights to you? Did you like those cinematic sequences, like the cave diving thing, or did you like the running thing, like the Mission Impossible scene? I liked them both. But yeah, peace out, and I will catch you in the next one. Let me know all of those things. I'll see you later.